Hello guys, so in these newly released Epstein files, Putin was mentioned 1,000 times and Moscow 9,600 times. And no, this is not a coincidence. As an experienced KGB FSB officer, Putin knows how to use honey traps, and it is very likely that Epstein was one of his instruments. Honestly, I tried to avoid this topic as long as it was possible because it's simply disgusting and YouTube is extremely sensitive to such conversations. But there are too many Russian girls, there are too many connections to the Russian FSB officers, ambassadors, and too many connections between the Epstein people and former politicians in the European Union, in the United States. So I've decided I need to share with you the facts that became highlighted in the Ukrainian media, and yes, they are linked to the Kremlin, Putin, and all these Russian girls. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the defeat and demilitarization of Russia, that is the only working peace plan, subscribe to know more truth from this part of the world. Share the videos, it helps spread the truth. And please be very polite in the comments because I'm genuinely worried to talk about this topic that might be treated by YouTube as something very negative, but we have to. So, according to this new release of Epstein files, Putin was in them 1,000 times and Moscow itself 9,600 times. All these evil people that helped Epstein organize his network were visiting Russia a lot of times. And if you were reading some of the emails, you might have felt that there are too many Russian girls, girls from Russia, Russian girls. And in this case, quite often, these were perhaps people who wanted to be on Epstein Island because some of them were directly connected to various Russian FSB officers. So let's discuss, first of all, the facts that demonstrate Epstein connections to Russian officials, to Putin himself. And second, why it may explain a lot of Epstein's connections, his wealth, and what it tells us about the way Russia operates in the modern political world. So first of all, perhaps one of the facts that attracted our attention in the previous portion of Epstein files was how Epstein wanted to speak with Lavrov. You know, that is the Russian Minister of Foreign Affairs. And Epstein wanted to contact him back in 2018, saying that he has a lot of good advice of how to speak with Vladimir Putin, and that he also provided a lot of advice to Churkin, which was a previous Russian ambassador to the United Nations. He was, by the way, an extremely active supporter of Putin. He was quite experienced, perhaps a good counterpart for Lavrov, and then he mysteriously died in 2017. So after Churkin disappeared, he wanted to continue this connection with the Kremlin via Lavrov, and openly spoke about his knowledge that may help the Russians to know how to influence Donald Trump. Well, I'm sure that is not something good, not something that people in the United States are happy to hear. Another extremely interesting thing is that in various emails, there are two Russian surnames that keep repeating. And this is a former FSB officer under the surname Belyakov. He is young and he has a very interesting career because straight after his graduation from an FSB academy or something like that, he got a lot of really good jobs. He was the deputy of a minister in Russia, and then he became the CEO of Putin's Economic Forum in St. Petersburg, something they describe to be an analog of Davos. And before Russia attacked Ukraine, before Russia's diplomatic isolation, it was an extremely active economic business forum with lots of people coming there and lots of Russian models working there to escort men, to influence foreign businessmen, and perhaps to get the information they need for the Kremlin. And of course, it's true, and we even had a video on the channel about no sex in the USSR, but sex workers, various people were often used as honey traps to get the information the Kremlin wanted. And Putin is a classical FSB officer. So 1000% he was using this kind of network and this kind of opportunity to get the information he wanted, to get an opportunity to blackmail others. So perhaps that Belakov, who directly spoke with Epstein, these forums in St. Petersburg was one of such platforms for this evil networking. Another very interesting person that was mentioned on files is Maria Drokova. She was a famous public figure in Russia and a leader of the youth movement of Putin's supporters, Nashi. There are tons of photos where she stands next to Vladimir Putin, and later, she mysteriously moved to the United States with the help of Epstein, became a businessman in the Silicon Valley, perhaps getting the necessary technical and financial information for the Kremlin. And she was also actively participating in the parties on that evil island. So it's pretty obvious right now that a lot of those Russian women on Epstein's list perhaps were no ordinary women. We may speak about a huge tragedy of people who were trapped and people who were kidnapped by this group, but also I'm sure there were hundreds of specially trained FSB officers who were working alongside the victims to get the information Putin wants. And honestly, I will not be surprised that they have a lot of information that later helps them manipulate people's decisions, influence, and make them act, like against their own national interests, their personal interests, their business interests. And that's exactly what we witnessed during this last year. I hope you understand what I'm hinting on. And an interesting summary is the fact that not a lot we know about the wealth behind this criminal, because he did not have that much money. It may be that part of this money is from the Kremlin. There are actually rumors that Epstein might have helped Putin with his foreign assets, with some tax procedures, or actually avoiding tax procedures, and also some other African dictators, might be. And by the way, another thing that proves the connection with Kremlin is the amount of Russian girls on the emails in connection with, Bill Gates. It was so disgusting to read. So I do not want to pay much attention to all the dirt and evil that we can read there. You can do it by yourselves if you have strong nervous system. I do hope that justice will be served, because otherwise it's just hell. But we have to remember that Russia is using all the channels to destroy the world we live in. And it's just evil how many instruments and tools they use, and how naively many people accept their favors, women sent on dates, trips to Moscow, presents. Never accept any presents from the Kremlin. Honestly, I believe that right now the Kremlin is very disappointed, because a lot of people are compromised. A lot of politicians that were active in the European Union, like it was a surprise for me, a former Norwegian prime minister, and then the head of the European Council, and many, many more, like Prince Andrew, like a lot of businessmen. This is very sad, and you just want to stop reading, but it's important to understand that Putin is very much behind that. So please stop talking about these traditional values shared either by the Kremlin or by the people on that list, because this is literally pathetic, and it's just like newspeak, Orwellian language, like they return back to this very run world. Let me know, what do you think about Russia and its role in this situation, but please be careful with your comments, because I don't want to get in this filtration camp of YouTube, and sometimes they punish by like negative speech, so please try to keep it as positive as possible under such very negative circumstances. Love you very much. Share these videos to spread the truth. Subscribe to know more. Follow me on Anna Danilchuk channel, where we have a new video about some more problems for 2026 in Russia. Also follow me on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, Discord, and a new newsletter on my Substack now. Check the merch shop for lots of good items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channels, but most importantly, thank you for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!